Of course this month's recommendation would be Halo Infinite. This is the newest continuation of Master Chief's story and god damn it, can't this man get a rest. Hasn't he done enough? The story has been convoluted, messy and contrived since Halo 4. Since the war with the Covenant has been over. Well, I guess it already went downhill with Halo 2, but at least there it seemed the developers had some idea where the story was going. But with the 343 trilogy, well, we had a game about this one Forerunner dude that kinda required the player to have read the novels, the fucking book adaptations of a video game, a shooter nonetheless, to understand what's going on. Why would anyone do this? There aren't any good video game novels. At best they're passable. Why would I read Halo when I can have 100 times more fun playing it? And then there was Halo 5 that was all over the place and was about Cortana being evil, and you kinda lost the battle in the end. So now finally Halo Infinite releases and there's just a new alien faction that debuted in Halo Wars 2, I believe, and is just the Covenant with a new coat of paint. And they are now the new big bad and have already wiped out all the human forces on this Halo installation. And Cortana has already been defeated. I mean, most assuredly there's something more to it, but it starts with mission accomplished and oh look, there's some friendly aliens. Hi there, friendly aliens. Oh no, stop killing all of us! Well, it does lead to this pretty awesome scene that had already been spoiled in the reveal trailer. It's still a great moment. Later on there are some, let's call them flashbacks, but it still doesn't feel like a continuation of last game's story. But we aren't really here for the story, right? We are here for fast-paced action, exhilarating combat and creative and fun gunplay, huge arenas with a plethora of possible approaches, distinct and memorable enemy types and behavior, and tons of badassery. And of course the game delivers. From the moment you arrive on the surface of the ring, the game tries to remind you of how awesome Halo 1 was. Just the view itself of the upwards curved horizon, and then you enter the Pelican and watch out the back as you're flying over this beautiful landscape while the iconic Halo theme is beating your nostalgia into submission. The gunplay is as good as it is in any other Halo game, with a huge variety of weapons. You get your pistol and assault rifle, shotgun and sniper rifle. You get your classic Covenant weapons like the Needler, the Carbine or the Particle Beam rifle. You get new and updated Brute weapons and also a bunch of new and more experimental weapons of the new enemy faction, like a skewer which shoots huge spikes or a lightning sniper. Detachable turrets are also back, and in addition to that you can now pick up explosive containers and throw them at any enemy unlucky enough to be in front of you. The Chief is also more mobile than ever before. The new grappling hook lets you get around the battlefield quicker and offers you a bunch of tactical options. Just shoot it at any surface and most of the time you'll get pulled towards it. And if you angle it correctly, you can even use the momentum to your advantage to get behind or above enemies. You can even shoot the hook at the enemies themselves and pull yourself towards them and attack with a melee blow. I mean, I don't know how the chief manages to pull himself towards a jackal or a grunt and not the other way around, but it still works really well. The upgraded grappling hook even lets you power up your punch and add a shockwave to it to stun all enemies around you. There are a few other upgrades that had or would have been consumable items in earlier games, like the drop shield or a radar to spot hidden or invisible enemies, or the pathetic dodge. But while they can be useful at times, they're never as useful or as fun to use as the grappling hook. That thing is just awesome and a really good fit and maybe even a saving grace for the open world. Wait, what? An open world in a Halo game? Oh yeah, this game ditches contained missions for an open world full of main as well as side missions. And all that on the titular Halo. Pure awesomeness. You can run around and explore every nook and cranny of that iconic ring world, visit your favorite parts of the installation, and it's pretty underwhelming. The open world is just kind of empty. I mean, it looks beautiful, and if you'd approach it like a kind of walking simulator, where just observing the landscape was the whole goal of the exercise, it might be enjoyable, but as an open world in an action game, it is just disappointing. There's not much to find, you're not rewarded for exploration. There are some neat little scenes to discover or some hidden weapon pickups, and of course there's the obligatory checklist stuff of stashes to find, upgrades to collect, broadcasting towers to destroy, checkpoints to liberate, enemy camps to wipe out, and squads to rescue. And all of it is nicely marked on your map. So this game is pretty much Far Cry Light. And that might sound pretty bad, and it kinda is. The open world just has no depth to it. And that is not just because the ring is pretty flat itself. All these different side activities just seem to be randomly placed around the map. Not really connected organically to each other or the world around it or even the story. We learn from the intro that pretty much all forces have been eradicated by the Banished, but we come across captured soldiers all the fucking time. What use do they have for them, other than giving the Master Chief a few chores to complete? How is my only pilot able to supply me with all kinds of vehicles just because I captured a flimsy lookout platform? This would make sense if the human forces were slowly approaching the enemy's territory and establishing operation bases. But the humans have already lost. Where does he get the resources? Due to its nature as an open world, the game can't really account for all the different ways to approach an objective. So it just doesn't try, well mostly. There are some hidden caves to find to get easy access to an enemy fortress or to get a drop on a group of aliens. But most of the game world is just au naturel. There's rocks and tree trunks lying around everywhere in addition to all the debris from the battle that we kinda missed. The ground isn't leveled, so when you drive around in a vehicle, you get stuck all the time or topple over. It's not as bad as I might make it sound, but it's noticeably worse than it was in other Halo games. In addition to the world being boring and shallow. But when you get into a combat encounter, I mean a real battle, where snipers have you surrounded on all sides and grunts are shouting obscenities at you, while suicide charging you and brute chieftains just rain plasma bombs down on you, and aggressive as fuck invisible elites wail on you with their energy swords, and you just take your gun and your grappling hook and whoosh, wham, boom. Simply awesome. The enemy AI got so sophisticated. All your opponents are way more aggressive than in previous games, even on normal, and if they see an opportunity to make your life a living hell, they take it, while still being clever enough to dodge your grenades and get behind cover. There's a really satisfying rhythm when it comes to Halo Infinite's combat. So the game should have just focused on that. Yeah, the huge open areas can be quite nice, but why couldn't it have been something more akin to Halo 1? Maybe with a few more side areas and hidden goodies in each level. Kinda like ODST, just on the Halo. Maybe then the game could have afforded to have more than just one biome. One thing Halo is known for is the huge variety in environments. Icy snowscapes, sandy deserts, beautiful beaches, treacherous rock walls. These are all things you won't find in this game. There are some Forerunner structures or alien ships and bases, but the open world is contained to this one plateau on the ring, this midwestern rocky woodland biome. It isn't lazily designed, and as I mentioned before, there are some beautiful and intriguing places to discover, but the huge variety in biomes that the ring has previously offered is nowhere to be found. Yeah, 343 already mentioned that more environments are planned to be released later down the line, but well, they can get in line behind chapter select, co-op and all the missing online features. The game reeks of being rushed out the door, after being delayed for another year. And still, what we have is really competently made. The game only crashed on me twice. There are some smaller annoyances that might just be a me thing, but for example, I found the tactical map just takes a bit too long to load. And since the open world only exists to have you run back and forth between marked locations on your map while fighting the same respawning groups of enemies on the way, selecting a new objective got really tedious after a while. It's also weird that the game completely shuts off all sounds whenever Chief is talking to his new AI companion. I mean, I get that the game wants you to understand what's being said and not be distracted by random enemy chatter or engine sounds and the like, but it annoys the fuck out of me when a conversation starts and my health decreases rapidly without me even really noticing it, because I couldn't hear the small army spawning in behind me and shooting at me with all they got. And lastly, I really don't like how this game treats the Jackal's shield. In previous games, the shield changed color when you shot at it and gave you a clear indication as to when it was about to turn off. The new shields are of a bright color and just turn a little brighter, and also seem to be more durable. The thing could withstand 2 shotgun blasts from point blank. It shouldn't do that. I'm not sure if it's even legal. I get that they wanted you to use the grappling hook to throw the Jackals off balance, but it just feels weirdly unintuitive and limits your options during combat in a very un-Halo way. That aside, I do have a lot of fun with this game. Is it worth the asking price of 70 euros? Well, I'm not sure, especially since the multiplayer component is a battle pass prostituted free-to-play disaster. So technically, you get less of a game than with any of the previous iterations. I mean, the actual Halo-ish parts of the game are really great, so you have to decide for yourself if you want to shell out 70 bucks for it. But the game is also included in the Game Pass subscription, so if you already have one, well, I guess you'd already played the game. And if not, this game might convince you to at least sign up for the $1 trial period. It is great value if you're interested in the Halo franchise, because you can play them all on Game Pass, and maybe you even find a few more games you're interested in. The Game Pass library is ever growing, and even though a lot of the games disappear from it after about a year, until now I haven't really regretted staying subscribed, so there's that. This game won't be my favorite Halo game, but it's also not the worst, even though it is heavily misguided. But I still got a lot of fun out of it, and most assuredly will continue to do so. And if you're intrigued by what you've seen so far, you might want to give it a try for yourself. And if you're still on the fence about the whole subscription thing, maybe take a look at my other Game Pass videos. There might be even more games you're interested in. And if you enjoyed this little video of mine, consider liking and maybe even subscribing. And if you didn't like the video or are heavily disagreeing with it, well, tell me in the comments, because the dislike button isn't really of any use anymore, I guess. But well, whatever you do, I wish you the greatest of days. That's it from Rady, and I hope to see you again on the next game.